Hello, and welcome to 20 Minutes with Jesus. Before we talk about what comes next, let us slow down for a moment. Not to analyze, not to plan, not to anticipate, but simply to pause. There are moments in the journey of faith when moving forward does not require action. It requires permission to stop and breathe. Many people believe that faith is always about momentum, about progress, about the next step. But faith is also about discernment, knowing when to walk and knowing when to rest. A steady heart is formed not only through movement, but through stillness. Pausing does not mean you are stuck. It means you are listening. There are seasons when the soul needs time to absorb what it has already received. Reflection needs space. Healing needs quiet. Growth often happens below the surface, unseen and unannounced. When we rush forward too quickly, we risk carrying unfinished weight into the next season. God does not hurry the heart. He understands that spiritual journeys are layered. What you have lived, prayed through, waited for, and surrendered has left impressions within you. Those impressions need time to settle. They shape perspective, strengthen discernment, and bring clarity. But only if they are given space. Pausing allows the heart to release pressure. Pressure to be better. Pressure to move on. Pressure to immediately apply everything. God never intended faith to feel rushed or forced. He does not measure growth by speed. He measures it by depth, and depth takes time. There is wisdom in stopping long enough to acknowledge how far you have come. You have walked through uncertainty. You have faced silence. You have learned to wait. You have chosen trust more than once. This journey mattered. And before the next chapter begins, the heart deserves to rest in that truth. Not with pride, not with regret, but with gratitude. Gratitude steadies the soul. It quiets comparison. It releases the urge to rush ahead. Pausing also protects the heart from carrying unnecessary weight. Sometimes we move forward still holding unresolved emotions, disappointment, fear, unanswered questions. God does not demand that everything be resolved before we continue. But He invites us to stop long enough to release what no longer needs to be carried. Rest is not avoidance. It is preparation. A rested heart discerns better. A rested heart trusts more easily. A rested heart moves forward with peace instead of pressure. In this pause, God is not absent. He is present, gently working, quietly restoring, steadily strengthening. Even when nothing feels dramatic, something meaningful is happening. Faith is settling into a steadier rhythm. Trust is becoming less reactive. Peace is learning to stay. Moving forward with a steady heart begins here. Not in urgency, not in striving, but in rest. As this cycle comes to a close, allow yourself to remain here for a moment. You do not need to decide what comes next today. You do not need a clear picture of the future right now. You only need enough trust to rest in this present moment. God is not rushing you, and neither should you. This pause is not the end of the journey. It is the breath between seasons. After allowing yourself to pause, something important begins to happen naturally. The heart starts to recognize what no longer needs to be carried forward. Every season leaves marks. Some are lessons, some are growth, and some are weights that were necessary for a time, but are no longer required. Not everything that helped you survive a season is meant to follow you into the next one. There are worries that were useful once, but now only drain peace. There are questions that pushed you to seek God, but no longer need constant attention. There are expectations that shaped your faith for a time, but now feel heavy instead of helpful. Releasing does not mean forgetting. It means trusting that what has already shaped you does not need to burden you anymore. Many people move forward still holding emotional residue from past seasons, unanswered prayers, disappointments that were never fully named, fear that once felt necessary for protection. Over time, these things quietly weigh down the heart. God invites you to release them gently, not by force, not by denial, but by surrender. Releasing is an act of trust. It says, I no longer need to hold this to feel safe. It acknowledges that God has been faithful enough in the past to be trusted with what you no longer understand. Some things belong to the season you just walked through, not because they were wrong, but because they have already done their work. Waiting taught patience. Silence taught trust. Uncertainty taught dependence. You do not need to relive those lessons constantly to honor them. They are already part of you. God never asks you to carry yesterday's weight into tomorrow. He invites you to travel lighter. Releasing also creates space for peace to grow, space for joy to return quietly, space for faith to feel steady rather than strained. When the heart lets go of what no longer belongs, it becomes more present, more attentive, more open. The future no longer feels crowded with unresolved emotion. It feels possible. This does not mean everything is resolved. Some questions may remain unanswered. Some outcomes may still be unclear, but clarity is not required for release. Trust is. You can release what you do not fully understand into God's care. You can place unresolved moments where they belong, not in your heart, but in His hands. God does not waste what you release. Nothing surrendered is lost. Nothing entrusted is ignored. He holds it with the same care He has always shown you. As this cycle closes, allow yourself to ask gently, what am I still holding that belongs to a past season? Not with judgment, not with urgency, just with honesty. Whatever comes to mind, you do not need to solve it. You only need to release it. Let this be a moment of lightness, a moment where the heart loosens its grip, where the shoulders relax, where the soul realizes it does not need to carry everything forward. God is already preparing what comes next, and what comes next does not require the weight of what has already passed. Release brings freedom, and freedom prepares the heart to move forward with peace. There is a difference between moving forward quickly and moving forward well. Many people move on before the heart is ready. They change seasons outwardly, but inwardly, they remain tense, guarded, or fatigued. God's desire is not speed, it is stability. He invites you to move forward with a steady heart. A steady heart is not one that has all the answers. It is one that has learned where to rest. After everything that has been lived, prayed, surrendered, and waited for, the heart does not need more instruction right now. It needs alignment. Alignment between faith and peace, between trust and posture, between movement and rest. Moving forward with a steady heart means walking without urgency. Urgency often comes from fear. Fear of missing out. Fear of falling behind. Fear that if you do not act now, something will be lost. But God does not operate under fear. He operates under purpose. When the heart learns this, it stops rushing and starts discerning. A steady heart knows when to move and when to pause. It does not panic when clarity is incomplete. It does not collapse when plans are still forming. It does not demand certainty to remain faithful. God forms this steadiness slowly. It is shaped through seasons where faith had to stand without reassurance, where trust had to remain without clarity, where obedience had to continue without immediate reward. These experiences strengthen the inner posture of the heart. A steady heart is not loud, it is grounded. It no longer reacts to every change or uncertainty. It listens. It observes. It responds with wisdom instead of impulse. This kind of heart is not easily shaken because it is not built on circumstances. It is anchored in God's faithfulness. Moving forward with a steady heart also means accepting that growth does not always feel exciting. Sometimes growth feels quiet. Sometimes it feels ordinary. Sometimes it feels slower than expected. But slow growth is often the most sustainable. God prefers depth over speed. He values roots more than appearances. And when the heart embraces this, it stops striving to prove progress and starts trusting the process. A steady heart understands that faith is not measured by intensity, but by consistency. It continues praying, even when prayers are simple. It continues trusting, even when emotions fluctuate. It continues walking, even when the path feels familiar rather than dramatic. This kind of faith lasts. God also forms steadiness by teaching the heart to live without constant evaluation. Many people constantly assess themselves. Am I growing enough? Am I doing this right? Am I behind? This self-monitoring creates tension. God invites the heart to release this pressure and trust that He is leading faithfully. You do not need to grade your spiritual life. You need to remain connected. Connection produces steadiness naturally. Moving forward with a steady heart means carrying peace into what comes next. Not perfection, not certainty, but peace. Peace that does not depend on circumstances aligning. Peace that remains even when plans adjust. Peace that trusts God's guidance moment by moment. This peace is not passive. It is confident. It is grounded. It is resilient. As this cycle closes, God is not asking you to rush into something new. He is inviting you to carry what has been formed within you forward. Wisdom, trust, patience, and peace. You are not starting over. You are continuing, stronger, steadier, and lighter than before. Let this truth settle. You are allowed to move forward without pressure. You are allowed to trust without rushing. You are allowed to walk with a steady heart, knowing that God is guiding each step. The next season does not require you to be more than you are. It only requires you to remain close to God. And with a steady heart, that is exactly what you are ready to do. God, we come before you in this quiet moment, aware of how much has been lived and carried. You see the journey behind us and the path ahead of us. You know every step that required faith, every moment that required patience, and every season that asked more of our hearts than we thought we could give. Today, we come not asking for more strength, but for steadiness. We thank you for how you have carried us this far, for the growth that happened quietly, for the lessons we did not fully understand at the time, for the grace that sustained us even when we felt unsure. God, we place our hearts before you just as they are, not rushed, not striving, not trying to prove anything. We ask you to settle our inner world. Quiet the noise of comparison. Silence the pressure to move faster than you are leading. Teach us how to walk with peace instead of urgency. We release the weight of past seasons into your hands. The worries that once felt necessary, the fears that once felt protective, the questions that no longer need to be answered right now. We trust that nothing surrendered to you is lost. Everything placed in your care is held with intention and love. God, form in us a steady heart, a heart that trusts you when clarity is incomplete, a heart that remains faithful without constant reassurance, a heart that moves forward without fear of falling behind. Help us stop striving to manage outcomes and start trusting your guidance. Teach us how to rest without guilt and walk without anxiety. Let peace become our posture, not something we chase. We ask you to bless what comes next, not with pressure or expectation, but with your presence. Go before us in ways we cannot see. Walk beside us in moments that feel ordinary. Strengthen us quietly when faith feels simple and unseen. God, protect our hearts from unnecessary heaviness. Keep us grounded in truth rather than emotion. When uncertainty arises, remind us that you are steady even when circumstances are not. When fear whispers, remind us that you are faithful. We choose to trust you with our pace. We choose to trust you with our direction. We choose to trust you with what we do not yet understand. Thank you for being patient with our process. Thank you for never rushing our growth. Thank you for teaching us that peace is not found in having everything resolved, but in knowing you are near. As we close this cycle, we place our hearts fully in your care. Lead us forward gently, keep us close, and let everything we step into be shaped by your wisdom and sustained by your peace. Amen. As we come to the end of this episode, allow yourself to remain here for just a little longer. There is no rush to move on, no pressure to apply everything immediately. What has been planted in your heart will continue to grow quietly, even when you are not paying attention. Closing a cycle does not mean closing your heart. It means trusting that what was needed has already been given. You do not need to replay every lesson. You do not need to revisit every moment. You do not need to carry the weight of understanding everything. God works beyond awareness. What you have listened to, prayed through, and reflected on has already shaped you in ways you may not fully see yet. Faith often grows in hidden places. Peace settles gradually. Strength forms quietly. This is not something you need to manage. It is something you are allowed to trust. As you step away from this moment, take peace with you. Not excitement, not pressure, not expectation. Peace. Peace that allows you to live fully in today. Peace that does not demand certainty about tomorrow. Peace that remains even when life feels ordinary. Moving forward does not require intensity. It requires consistency. A steady heart learns how to walk with God in simple, faithful ways, choosing trust daily, resting when needed, and returning to God's presence without fear or obligation. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not missing something essential. God has been with you every step of the way. The same presence you have experienced here will continue with you, in quiet moments, in busy days, in questions that remain unanswered, and in joys that come unexpectedly. Let this be a gentle ending, an ending that does not close doors, but releases pressure, an ending that does not demand change, but invites peace, an ending that reminds your heart that you are held. As you continue your journey, remember this: you do not walk alone. You do not need to have everything resolved. You only need to remain close to God, one step at a time. Faith does not always feel dramatic. Growth does not always feel noticeable. But God is always faithful. Carry this truth with you. And when you need rest again, return to stillness. Return to trust. Return to the quiet confidence that God is guiding you. Even when the path feels simple, even when the season feels calm, even when nothing feels urgent. This is not an ending filled with urgency. It is an ending filled with peace. May your heart remain steady. May your steps be gentle. And may everything ahead be met with the quiet assurance that God is with you, now and always.